Hey, Jabbers, welcome back to another episode of Just Another Biz Podcast. This week, Gabby and I are wanting to talk about pricing transparency and how it attracts better fit wedding clients, how it can weed out people that aren't right for you. And we just want to kind of talk about if wedding pros are putting their pricing on their website. I definitely know over the years some pros that don't put it, and you have to inquire just as a wedding planner and inquiring with other vendors. It can be a little frustrating to not have an initial pricing on website. So today we want to talk about it, whether or not Gabby and I do it, what it's been like over the years, and why it's kind of a frustrating thing for up and coming couples and, Gen Z, and why they're frustrated that wedding pros are not putting at least a starting price on their website. So, Gabby, let's start with you. Have you always had your pricing on your website? Have you changed it over the years? Have you put it on, taken it off? What has kind of been your way of going about it?
Yes, Kari, it's been a journey. Um, I think I 1000% love the transparency of having pricing on your website. And I have had it on there. Like I've had every package and its price. And I've also, or more, I should say more of a starting at price because we all know it needs to be customizable. Um, but recently what I did is and I'm on my website right now and I'm looking, I removed all of my non full weekend wedding planning packages. So I removed wedding
Okay.
management, I removed partial planning, and I still offer those for a select few places. I basically want to be in charge of deciding if that's something that I want to offer before I let the client see what the packages are. And in my mind, by having just this full weekend wedding planning package on there, I do know that I'm sending away some people because they think this is all I offer. But I will say those that are interested in just my overall brand and everything have still inquired and they've
Okay.
asked, I don't know if we qualify for the full weekend. What else do you have? And from there, we created the conversation. So it's risky,
Mhm.
um, but I do like the idea of the transparency of it. I think right now, this is such a big package that I don't really have a price tag attached to it. Unless, am I lying? I'm looking right now. No, I think I took it off. I used to have something that said like starting at 20,000 or 20,000 minimum or something like that. But it looks like I have removed it. And now I'm doubting myself.
Okay, so you had just have full wedding weekend, but they still don't know how much that's going to cost them.
No. And I'm
Okay.
wondering if that wasn't the move.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess you could test it out both ways. One question, do you get inquiries and then once you tell them a minimum pricing, do they not schedule a call with you, or have you not been able to really experience that yet?
Um, no, I have. Well, you know what? Here's the thing. I have customized it so much because yes, it's such a case by case. Like, are we going to Italy for the weekend or are we
Right.
going to Utah for the weekend? That's
Right.
very different experience. And so that's why I think I've been so nervous because also on the flip side, like I'll be honest, if I'm approached by a couple that wants a full weekend planning in Italy, I might be inclined to offer a discount a little
Mm,
bit, like to really try and book them, depending on the conversation that we have. If I know, budget's a little bit smaller than the big US weddings. But my point is, I want more control over what this looks like. Um, but yeah, what do you do?
okay. I like that. Well, I've always had pricing on my website under my services page, which it wasn't really listed anywhere else. But I guess for a couple years, I take that back. I had it on my services page, and then I started putting it on my inquiry form when it was like, what's your budget for a wedding planner? And then in parentheses, I would put our minimum starts at. And I think that was really helpful for a while. I don't remember why. I think I was reading or learned something. I took it off just to make it a little bit easier on the inquiry form and also not to weed out people who were like same as you. Like I could kind of decide like, is it worth taking on if it's like a little bit lower of a price? Um, but now I'm finding that I don't think people know the pricing at all when they inquire, because it's just on my services page. And then when they get an automatic email, when as soon as they inquire, like an automated response goes out of like, we received this, we'll review it. But I do put like a minimum pricing in there. And then when I follow up, which is usually within 24 hours, I still kind of reiterate that. And I have been losing people. They like don't even schedule a call. And I think a lot of them are like, oh, she's out of our
Mhm.
budget. Some will respond and say, that's not in budget. We can't afford that. So
Did you
I,
send them the email that says, "Are you okay?"
I have been wanting to do that.
You should try it.
I
Like, we have
know.
nothing to lose,
Yeah,
right?
that's true. If they're not responding anyway, what does it matter? But I'm revamping my website a little bit and I am putting the pricing in a few more places, like in the bottom of the homepage, more so of like our starting price point is. And then I kind of have a note of like all packages are customized
Mm.
based on details, which has always kind of been the case, right? Like I never wanted someone to be like, oh, that's what I'm going to spend because, like you said, it varies based on how many events are we planning? Is it a multi day thing? Am I working 20 hours? Do I have to book hotels? Like all of that stuff matters. Or are you inviting 50 people versus
Right.
400 people?
Yeah, good point. And actually, when you said that, I do have in the inquiry form itself a drop down of like, what's your budget range? But in the
Mm,
top, it says we work best with clients who estimate a budget of $1,000 per guest.
okay.
I I put that there just so that I want to aim higher. And sometimes people come in and say, "Oh, I'm thinking it's going to be more like 700 per guest." And I'm like, "Okay, well, let's talk about it because it could be possible." Um, so I'm trying that, and I will see how that goes. I also do have an email. We work at this one venue a lot, and it is slightly lower budget, but I love the venue. I enjoy working there. And I do have, like you said, an kind of an automatic inquiry response that
Mhm.
gives them the price ranges. So it'll say something at this specific venue, we've lowered it a little bit, but it says like our packages are between 3,000 and 12,500 plus.
Mhm.
And just because I don't know if they're going to want multi-day or
Right.
whatever.
Right.
And so that has been very helpful because then in the bottom of that email, like you said, it does say if this sounds good, here's how to schedule a call. Most have scheduled.
Okay.
And so I do think you're right that maybe Gen Z like loves that pricing transparency. Um and they also don't want to bait and switch, they don't want to say, oh, starting at 1,000 and that's only for like your 1 hour coordination
Right.
of the rehearsal.
1 hour coordination. It's for 1 hour of my time. Well, and the reason I brought this up is because I've been on Threads a lot lately, and it's a very fascinating part of the internet, I think, of just like you come across the most random people, and I see a lot of couples, a lot of brides in particular, who are sharing their thoughts and feelings about the wedding planning process. Some are a lot of complaining about things that are going wrong, and it's really fascinating to me. And I actually kind of enjoy it because sometimes I'll respond and I'm like, I'm so sorry. That's your experience. That's not typical. And a lot of them have responded and they're like, I really appreciate you saying that. But I have seen people complaining about why don't vendors list pricing on their website? And a lot of the like points in the comments were we're reaching out to multiple vendors per category, and if you don't have pricing then it's a little frustrating, right? Because they can't just be like, oh, I love this person, but they're already out of budget. And so when they have to inquire and then they get like a minimum pricing, a lot of times they're like, we don't respond because we're getting so many emails from different vendors, and if you're out of our price range then we just don't respond to it, or like we forget. So I feel like a lot of the ghosting that happens with us is like or just in general, maybe not people that have their pricing on. It's like if you don't have pricing, maybe you're just getting ghosted because once they find it out, they don't feel the need to respond because you're not a worthy candidate. Worthy candidate sounds bad. You're not a contender for their wedding.
Yes, that I think, yeah, you're right. I think that's very possible. Um, it's so hard, right? Because people that maybe haven't had as many years of experience as us, like we've had over the last 13 years, we've been able to test out our pricing. Do we put it on? Do we take it off? How did that work? How did that go? And so I think some vendors are maybe scared to list it because they think that will deter people. But to your point, I do think there is a need to know going into it. And you shouldn't be like, if someone's listening to this right now and they're like, well, if I put 3,000 on my website, but I'm really willing to do 2,000, I think you should rethink, why are you willing to discount so much? And what is it about the 3,000 that you feel should be the price versus the 2,000? Have maybe deeper conversations about that. And I say this out loud because, and I'm one of those people that doesn't have it on my website, but as we're having this conversation, I'm like, you know what? You're right. I do need to be more transparent about it. I need to put it on there. And what I might just do is put a little line at the bottom of that one package and say, are you looking for something else? Let's chat.
Right.
Depending on your location and type of venue, we do offer something along the lines of wedding management or just design. So I don't know. And the beauty with owning your own business, you could ever do whatever the heck you want and you can change it the next day if it's not working out for you.
Yeah, very true. I think it's kind of evaluating how your business is going. If you're getting a lot of low budget inquiries, maybe you should put your minimum pricing on your website, because then you're not wasting your time responding to these potential inquiries that make you excited. And then you're like, oh, your budget's only $1,000 for a coordinator. So I think it's asking yourself, why are you attracting maybe the wrong clientele if that's not what you want, and figure out if listing your pricing is best.
Oops, sorry, I was muted there. I had to
Oh.
cough. Sorry.
Like, no.
No, yes. Yes, Kari. Yeah, no, I hear you. I think that's a really good point.
But like to your point, Gabby, I think over the years I've tested it out. I've had it in my inquiry form directly to weed people, and then I took it off, and now I'm reevaluating again. Like I've been getting lower budget clients, and I'm like, maybe they're just not seeing my pricing structure. And something else that I'm curious about is like, if you do list higher pricing on your website, are you qualifying higher end leads because then they know you're more of like a luxury planner? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I see what you mean. And I guess not necessarily. I just had I was on a call yesterday with, guess who? The
Someone
Abundance
I was
Group.
gonna say someone from the abundance group.
Yes, ma'am. It was our monthly coaching call and we were talking about, she was actually talking about the luxury market. And she was like, it's not because you raise your prices that you become luxury. And it's so true, because the luxury experience is coming through not prices per se, but the experience. So, like, how solid is your inquiry process? How great is your onboarding? How is your communication? How is your call structure, your design boards? Like, that whole process is what makes it feel like a luxury vendor. It's not because a DIY planner who's in their first year decides to charge $10,000 that they are considered luxury. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, and I'm not saying that DIY planner cannot become luxury down the road, but it's not from just changing the price tag on your website. And I thought that was so interesting because I was like, you know what? Yeah, like luxury is not necessarily a number. It's the experience that you're going to get. And therefore, that experience is worth a lot of money.
That's a great point. I think it's the experience of planning and then what you're producing on the day of,
Right. Of
right? Like
course. Yeah.
I think luxury has just been thrown around so much and everybody wants to be luxury. And it's like there's also a lot of money to be made in non-luxury, I don't know,
Yeah.
like right below that, right? And those events are still amazing and beautiful. It's just, yeah, and your experience could still be really amazing to those clients. But yeah, that's such a great point. Pricing doesn't necessarily mean you're a luxury wedding planner.
Right. And I think that's like a word of caution for couples, like do your due diligence, and
Mhm.
the portfolio is important, but also it'd be so great if couples were actually asking other vendors who have worked with those planners or other luxury vendors, how was your experience working with said luxury vendor? And if it was a
Yeah.
hot mess, that's not the luxury experience you want as a client. So I don't know. I started thinking about that more and I was like, you know what? Yeah. And it starts, guys, it starts with getting back to emails in a timely manner. You know?
Whether it's clients or vendors you're working
Yes.
with. Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed.
Well,
Well,
I'm glad you brought this up, Kari. I think it's a hot topic for a lot of people. And while we didn't have endless amounts of notes per se, like you said, it's something that's being talked about on threads and obviously something that Gen Z cares about. And it has made me rethink. I'm going to make some tweaks on my website and I'm probably going to update that a little bit and be more transparent. And if it turns
mhm,
some people away, they weren't the right fit. And if it does bring people in that are below that minimum budget, I will gladly have the conversation with them because perhaps they're like, but we have a really small guest count or it's in Italy. And I'm
right.
like,
You're like,
yeah,
I
let's
want to go
go.
to Italy. Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's always right. It's like figuring out what works for you and your business and change it one day, change it back the next, or like, 1 week to the next or 1 month to the next. It's not going to ruin your business, but it's worth like doing a test on it, seeing what works, and if the transparency helps. And again, I think also, like you said, Gabby, you can just list a starting price point and put plus on there and put in like an asterisk below it and be like, this might not be your final price. And I think one last thing I've also seen a lot of people do is they put like a range. Like you said, I think what you're going to spend per guest or what your couples typically spend. Sometimes it's like, our couples typically end up spending between 15 to 20,000 on a package with us. And I think that also helps
That's
people
a
be
good
like,
idea.
"Oh, there's a range so I can have a conversation with this planner and figure out what works best for both parties."
That's a great idea. I like that wording a lot, actually. I might implement that one.
I'm just inspiring Gabby with this
I
conversation.
know. I know. So great. This is why we do this podcast, is just to inspire each other as we talk about
Exactly.
things.
And a lot of times it's me being like, I have a hot topic I want to talk about from threads that I'm fired up about.
Yes. Yes.
Well, Jabbers, thank you for being here for this mini episode. We'd love to hear from you guys. Feel free to DM us, email us. We're wondering, how does it work for you? Do you have your pricing up on your website? Does it help qualify leads? Does it not? Are you taking it off? Let us know how it's going, and we will be back next week with another episode.
And come find us on Substack. We are there for free subscribers or paid subscribers. Wait, is this a Substack post?
No, it's not.
Okay, sorry. Erase that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Come find us on Substack. We're there for free subscribers. You will have weekly kind of newsletter type of posts from us, and then we do a monthly bonus episode for our paid subscribers. It's only $5 a month, and we would love your support over there. So, thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.